In this video, I'm going to be explaining why they didn't text you or call you back if you're a spiritual person. I'm going to be giving you a number of reasons, and one of them is very, very surprising, so stay tuned for that. My name is Adam. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Before we get started, I just want to let you know there's kids outside screaming, and I'm doing free breakthrough calls. There is a link pinned in the comment section below. What is a breakthrough call? People ask me that a lot. Well, it's a 30-minute Zoom call where we go over your vision for your life. So what it is that you're looking to create, what you want to do, what you want to do next. And then we get into why it's not happening, why it's not working, what are the blocks, what are the issues, what are the emotions that are coming up that are sabotaging it or preventing you from moving forward. And then I help you troubleshoot a bit some different options to where you can start to iron out these underlying issues, get them out of the way, get them resolved so that you can create what you really want. Okay, now let's get started. So, it's very common for us to take everything personally. Everything. I have spent my whole life taking everything personally. And if you're a spiritual person, you're somewhat empathic, we've kind of been taught in a way that it's all about us. Like if you grew up with sort of narcissistic parents, or you were really sensitive and you were really afraid of hurting people's feelings, you probably developed a perception that it was because of you, or you had some part in it, either because you were yelled at and told that, or whatever, kind of manipulated into believing that, or also because you're a spiritual person and you like to take responsibility for your actions and you know that you're the creator of your own reality. The problem with that is sometimes we over responsibilize. We take too much responsibility and we think it's all because of us, when it isn't. We do have parts in everything. We are the creators of our own reality, but we don't want to assume that everyone else's path has to do with something deeply bad and wrong with us. So that's the first thing to understand. But now I'm going to be getting into why maybe they're not texting you back, why they're not calling you back, or why they're not interested. Okay, it's really important to hold a space of forgiveness for yourself and understand that there are a lot of things going on in your path and their path that you're not aware of, and that ultimately everything's okay. So the first reason is this. Why are they not entering into a dating or a relationship with you? One is because they're a goddamn mess. It's really hard sometimes when you look at someone on the surface and maybe they seem like they have everything together to really know what's going on inside. Like they may live in their mother's basement and diarrhea themselves 3 times a week because they're so filled with stress and confusion about what they're doing with their life, and they got so much trauma coming up. You don't know what anyone else is going through. That's not a judgment. I've been a shit show for most of my life, a really bad one. I'm just saying that we tend to think oh, they don't like me. Oh, I'm not attractive. Oh, I'm stupid. I do this all the time. And the truth is, they've got stuff they need to work out still. And even if they're seeing somebody else, or they want to see somebody else, that might be a person that maybe it's a lower vibrational person that helps bring up the stuff more, or they feel more aligned with it because they're a mess. It's the stories we tell ourselves about us not being good enough really need to go. The number 2 reason, they're in a limerence pattern with a completely unavailable energy because of number 1. And that's not a judgment. I've been in limerence patterns plenty of times. We all have. But they may be waiting for someone that's completely unavailable themselves because they're not available. They may be in a fantasy or a co-opted, hijacked pattern with another person from some other time or place in some other dimension because of their own childhood trauma that makes them not really want you right now. And it might be because you actually could really love them and they're not ready for that. I'm just trying to offer some other explanations. And I want to make a side point here about what I just said. There's a lot of lore out there in the spiritual community about detach and become magnetic. Okay, now that is completely correct. We don't want to be too attached. Anytime you're too needy or obsessive too much, it can push people away. But I want to make this point very, very strongly. Okay, because there's this perception that you can't even really want them at all, or it pushes them away. Now that's sometimes true, but the reason isn't spiritual. The reason that is true is because we're all really fucked up and we're getting better, but we're all very traumatized as humans and we don't know how to receive love. That they'll say, if you want him, stop thinking about him. If you want him, let go. Yes, do that. And also, though, think about this. If you're really excited to see your dog, and your dog loves you, and you're thinking about your dog all day, and you're excited to see your dog, and you're on the way home and you're like, oh, I want to see my dog. I love when my dog greets me at the door. And you get home, is the dog in the corner going, fuck you, leave me alone? No. You want to know why? Because the dog isn't a mess when it comes to love. It loves unconditionally. So the fact that you love it doesn't push it away. So some of the detach and become magnetic is absolutely true, and you don't want to be focused on something that's not available, but also let yourself off the hook for loving and caring about somebody. It just may be their trauma that you're triggering because they can't receive love. And it's okay that you really love them. And also maybe they're not available right now, but let yourself off the hook. Okay. Number 3, this is a really good one. This is very common. There's somebody better for you. There's just someone better for you. And your higher self knows that. And that's why they're not getting back to you. We always think we know. We always think we know who we want. We always think we know who the right person is. We feel these soul connections. We feel these energetic connections. We feel like it's a match because on many levels it is maybe a match, but not on all levels and not right now. And some part of you is aware of that. And it's you're supposed to get something from that dynamic, whether it be to completely let go, because a lot of times you do need to completely let go if they're not available, or there's a lesson you need to learn, or maybe it's just that, I had this happen recently. I just needed, you might learn something from just talking to somebody a few times, or you might learn something about yourself from pursuing somebody that doesn't want you right now, not because of you, but for another reason. You might have a trauma come up from childhood. You might have a belief system come up. And that clearing that you get from this whatever dynamic that isn't going the way you think you want it to go will lead you to the next thing, the next person, the person that is right for you. Just kind of know, if it's really meant to be, it works out. We're so burdened with this lack of trust, and because we are very used to living in a hijacked reality where anytime anything good happens, it would be taken away. But that's changing. So just know that. Okay, and the fourth and very surprising reason why they may not be getting back to you is this, and this is really, really important. You're looking for the perfect soulmate or a divine union partnership, and that is pushing them away. And let me explain that really quickly. We spend a lot of time wanting the perfect soulmate. And I am not judging anybody. I have spent so many years wanting the twin flame or the perfect soulmate, the ideal end all be all soulmate of all soulmates. I don't want to have to even date. I just want to we meet in a supermarket and right away it's completely electric and we know that we're meant to be together forever. And I'm not mocking that. I'm mocking myself. But that's not a good intention to have. And one of the things that it does is it can put pressure on anyone that you're interested in. subconsciously. And they will feel like, oh, I can't give this person what they want. Because nobody can, because the idea that you have of a divine union or like perfect soulmate relationship is so fantastical, it's unrealistic. There's something else I want to mention about divine unions. I kind of think it's a little bit of a hijacked topic. I do. I was watching this guy's Instagram the other day, and he was talking about how if you want a divine union, it was basically like you're going to be taken through every aspect of yourself in the dark, alone, bled dry, crying on the floor to God as all your trauma gets wrung out like a sponge until you're totally happy and you love yourself. And I'm like, you know what? Shut the fuck up, dude. Fuck you. Like, because this is why. It's another perfectionistic trap. The idea is that you have to be perfect, perfectly healed, so orgasmically coming in bliss and love with yourself before you can be with another person, before you can be with anyone. And you know what? That's impossible. It's impossible. All right? It puts so much pressure on it. It puts so much pressure on yourself to be perfect. It puts so much pressure on them to be perfect. You will shut out every other option and every other opportunity, and you will not address the aspects of yourself, which are so many, that are human, that still have shit and flaws and traumas. And it's okay. You do want to be healed enough. You don't want to be a person, a crackhead running down the street with their fucking skin on fire, you know, like 16 swords in their head and their heart in knots, like in trauma. That's not gonna work. But you don't need to be perfect at all. And here's the other thing. You can't actually get to the point where you're amazingly healed in a relationship if you're not in a healthy relationship and you don't go through the steps of learning that. This is a lesson for me. I've spent my whole life not in relationships because I'm waiting to be perfectly healed and have the perfect relationship. Put it this way, I'll just use stand-up comedy as an example because I've done a lot of stand-up comedy. If you want to be a master at stand-up comedy, but you never get on a stage and perform in front of people until you're perfect, do you think you're going to get good at it? No, you're going to suck forever. You have to get up and fail and fail and fail. There are two aspects to any form of a skill as far as I'm concerned. This is really important. There's being able to do it by yourself, and then there's being able to do it around people. If you can't do it by yourself, there's no way in hell you're going to be able to do it around people. If you can't give some form of a speech from start to finish in your room in front of your stuffed animals or your couch pillows, you're going to probably totally fail when you get up in front of people. But you can be an absolute master. You could be hysterically funny, witty, clever, improvisational, have a perfect memory in front of your stuffed animals, get up in front of a group of people, pass out, shit your pants, pee your pants, and fucking go into convulsions and end up in a hospital because it's a whole other thing. So if you're trying to clear everything to be in a perfect relationship, it's all going out the window when the relationship comes. There's not going to be a perfect divine union where you're both perfectly healed without ever figuring out a healthy relationship by being in it. Throw that shit away. And what you want to look for in a relationship is someone that will let you fail and fail and fail. You need to be working on yourself. You need to be conscious they do too. We can't be too traumatized. That is correct. So you want to find someone who's healed enough, healthy enough, has an open heart, isn't super hot, cold one minute they love you and the next minute they can't because they're so wounded inside. That's not going to work. That's not a conscious relationship. But the perfect divine union is crap. And even if it's not, you're never going to find it with that perfectionistic ideal in your imagination. You're going to ruin the whole thing. The way you heal anything is to love it all as it is to accept yourself as you are now, all your flaws, all your imperfections. It's possible to find somebody where you feel a little needy and they still love you anyway. And you can bring it up and you can talk about it, and they feel a little needy or they feel a little avoided and they can bring it up and they can talk about it. So if you have that, I want the perfect divine union. I'm not saying there aren't soulmates out there. I know that there are. I've met plenty of people who I knew from other times and places, and I loved them instantly. And there are other people who I could know for 1,000 years who I wouldn't love anywhere near as much. I know that's real, but we fantasticalize it. I just made up a word. Fantasticalize. We blow it up into this sort of over-idealized version, and then we sabotage ourselves over and over and over again. It all takes practice. Maybe one day on planet Earth in the new Earth 5D we'll all be so healed that we never feel any pain. I'm a big fan of believing that things are going to get better and better and better and better and better, but stop trying to be perfect. You'll never be perfect. Like, as Tyler Durden said, fuck being perfect, let the chips fall where they may. I don't remember the rest of that monologue. I love that movie. It was also a little bit too much in the dark and self-destruction, but it's a good point. Let it be messy. So let me know how this goes. Please leave any comments below, any revelations, breakthroughs, concerns, whatever you have. I always love to hear from people. There's an energy clearing in the description below. Other than that, thank you so much. I look forward to next time, and bye-bye.